Hi guys, today what we're going to talk about is a new alternative travel scarf to the one that I show in all of my videos. And recently I've been doing a bunch of searches for convertible travel clothing, especially items that you can wear on the plane that you can use for other reasons in your trip, especially as clothing in the trip. So this is my travel scarf that I've shown a ton of times, and I'm going to unfold it in a second to show you, but we're going to look at an alternative today, which is this infinity scarf, and you're going to be able to get more use out of something like this than you would even from a big square of fabric. Let me show you the size of both of these items. This is my old travel scarf. If I fold it in half, it's a little hard to see with black. That's why I'm going to show you things in this red color. But this is my old travel scarf, and this is my new black one. So it's a little bit bigger, just a little bit, but it really doesn't matter because I can just wear it in the airport and on the plane. So let me just give you a brief review. And again, this is the infinity scarf in black. This is how small that something like this is going to pack down if you needed to pack it, just so you can see for your reference. So not very big, even if you have to pack it. All right, but this is my old travel scarf that I've shown you before, but let's just look at it so that we can think about some ideas for what you might want to use on your trip. So it's a big, almost square of fabric, and like it unfolds really big. I don't know, maybe it looks like it's at least 60 inches by 50 probably. And obviously you can easily wear it like a scarf on the plane. So you don't have to pack it, even though sometimes I do. You can wear it as a scarf. On the plane, I like to unfold it and use it as a blanket. So it's very big. And I know it's very see-through. Part of what's making it see-through is the door is backlit, but so it's nice. It covers a lot of your body, and if you don't want people to see you, you can throw it over your head and travel in a little more privacy, sort of, even though you're cramped together. But what I usually use this for is a scarf on the trip if it's cold, or I tie it up around my neck like a sarong with my bathing suit, which is a little hard to do right now because there's a scarf on the mannequin's neck. But you can wear it like a bathing suit cover-up. This is just one idea of how to wear it like a bathing suit cover-up. And I'm not really going to show you all of the uses of the square of fabric because today's video is about showing you some ideas of what to do with this infinity scarf. But I just wanted to show you that a big piece of fabric can get you through airport security easily. You just take it off and put it in the bin. You can wear it on the plane. You can use it as a blanket on the plane, and then especially if you're going somewhere cold, you can use it as a scarf. If you're going somewhere hot, you can use it as a bathing suit cover-up. Okay, so with this infinity scarf, you can do all of those same things, except you get more options, which I'm going to show you in a second. And I kind of stole this idea from a company where they have a similar product, except for it's a lot more expensive than this one. This one I found on Amazon. Okay, the black one was $12.99, and I found this red one on sale for $6.99, so I thought, oh, hey, I could always use red for $7. Why not get one? All right, so let's look and see at some of the different things you can do with this scarf. Obviously, everybody, for some reason, these videos want to show you how to make a long scarf, how to make a double scarf, and how to make a triple scarf. And it's like, why did you bother wasting time showing me that? Because that's obvious. So let's talk about some of the uses that are a little less obvious. So I could wear it as a scarf through security and on the plane, but if I get cold, I can wrap it around me like a blanket like this, and just have it like around me like this, like a blanket. Okay, so that's one thing that you can do when you're on the plane. You could also, you know, if you want to do the hooded thing and have people not pay attention to you. And sometimes it gets a little cold. You might want a little bit of a head cover. You can wear this sort of as a hood up over your head. You could also even keep whatever, I don't know, your phone. Your phone could kind of sit down here if you wanted it to. I don't know if that is something you'd want. Anyways, once you get to your destination, there's more uses for this infinity scarf than there is for a big piece of fabric, because you can turn this into clothing. And I got this idea from a company called, and I'm only going to say this brand name once because I don't want to get in trouble, but it's called the Chrysalis Cardi. And basically what that product is a big loop of scarf like this. Except for, I will say, theirs costs over $200, and it's not as see-through. So if you're gonna wear this as a dress, you're gonna need a slip. But the only advantage to buying the brand name is the fact that they have incorporated little snaps around the hem that you can snap together to make different configurations. That is kind of an advantage because then you don't have to bring a bunch of pins with you, but it also could be a disadvantage because you're limited to the snaps. Wherever they snap, that's the only place you can attach the fabric. So let me show you how you can attach the fabric with this without the snaps. So one option is to raid your grandma's closet and get a bunch of brooches. Let me show you. Things like this that you can pin and hold the fabric together. Okay, here's a Scottish brooch. And these ones are actually really good. These they're not a hat pin. What are these called? This is a stick pin. This is really nice because you can just go in and out of the fabric and stick the stopper on, and it's a little less descript. You know, if you're pinning things together, that's not quite as obnoxious. So it just depends on if you want it to make a statement or not. There's another option, and this way you wouldn't even have to pack anything, is if you look back at one of my backpack videos, I showed you this style of safety pin. Instead of bringing like the nasty regular safety pin, you could bring something that's a little more elevated, that is this style. I don't know what to call these other than, I know they used them a lot in the punk movement in the 80s, kind of with Vivienne Westwood. But also, I know that if you are Scottish, I know that women will use these for like a plaid skirt. They'll pin the skirt together with these pins. But if you watched my backpack video from a few videos ago, you know that I have one of these pins, and I didn't bring my backpack because it's too big, but this gives you the idea. You could use one of these safety pins as a theft deterrent so that thieves can't easily get into your backpack, you know? And if you just have a bunch of these safety pins pinned to your backpack already, then you'll have them for when you need them to make configurations in your, let's call it infinity scarf, so that I don't get in trouble. Okay, so let's talk about different dresses that we can make. Let's start with the dresses. So one thing that you can do is take the fabric up under your armpit, and again, this is not all of these configurations are going to look as good on every size, but every size can make a configuration, because let me show you this. The dimensions of this, and there are different infinity scarves on Amazon, so you want to make sure that you get one that is at least, this one is like 32 inches wide, and then the opening part is like 35 inches across. It's actually 70 inches all the way around. So meaning from here all the way around is 70 inches. And if you're not sure, look at the picture. When they have it draped on the mannequin, it should hang down to like below the crotch area. That's going to be enough length for you to make things out of it. You know, some of them are a little bit shorter like this, and you could still maybe make a top with one that size, but you're going to be able to do more things if it's longer. And then also make sure that you check, because some of the infinity scarves are only 12 inches wide, and 12 inches is not going to give you enough fabric to do all the things that I'm going to show you. Another option that you could do is go to a fabric store and ask them if they have, and this is what you need to ask for, ask if they have seamless jersey. Seamless means that there's no seam. There's no seam going down where it's been sewn together. It's just a big, big, big circle. And that's actually, this is an advantage over the brand name Cardi, because they do have a seam and there is a definite back to it. This one, you don't have to worry about where the back is because there's no seam. There's no seam in this entire piece of fabric. So if you went to a fabric store and they did have seamless jersey, you could actually get however long of a piece that you wanted. If I had a choice, I would get maybe 45 inches. And then that way I could put a seam on each side to keep it a little more stable and to keep it from rolling on the edge. You can see that. See how it's rolling on the edge? So I have to kind of untwist it every time to get it flat so it rolls up. So I'm just giving you some ideas, okay? So let's look and see some of the configurations for making a dress out of this piece of fabric. So what you want to do is take the fabric up under one of your armpits, as I was saying just a little bit ago, and work it up till you get onto your shoulder. And then you're going to pin it. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just using sewing pins. You know, it's going to take more time if I try to use a safety pin, but if I used a safety, just pretend like there's a safety pin there, okay? Or some kind of a brooch. All right, so that's one side. Then you're going to work the fabric over evenly to the other side. So if you can see, evenly, okay? So that means don't pull it out to here, pull it out straight from the back shoulder, straight out to here, and then kind of grab it, and that straight point, this is what is going to go under your armpit. So let me unroll it a little bit more and get that under the armpit, right? And then you're going to work it back up over your shoulder and then pin it. Okay, so this gives you just a very easy dress if you kind of like this sort of cowl neck look. This is not really my cup of tea, but some people really like this sort of drapey look. That's what it looks like in the front. That's what it looks like in the back. And you can either wear it loosely like that. That could make a bathing suit cover up, you know, right there. Or you can get a belt. And you know, what I would like to do is maybe wear this. If I don't think I'm having to wear a dress where I'm going, I wouldn't pack a dress. But if I just at the last minute needed one, then I wouldn't have to stress out because I could always just turn this into a dress. Now, obviously, you can see through it. You're gonna need to wear a slip, but also keep in mind that this is very backlit. So if you are wearing this for some reason to some kind of like an evening event, chances are you're not gonna be backlit and it's going to look a little more like, I'm trying to show you, where it's not gonna look as like see-through. But still, I always wear slips anyway, so it's not a big problem. And if you wear a jacket over it, it really doesn't look like super obnoxious, like, oh, she's just wearing a big piece of fabric. Gosh, I wish that light wasn't so bright back there, but just imagine like this part is filled in, and there you go. Oh, you know what? I could do this. Let's put this up under it, and maybe that'll block some of the light. There you go, kind of like that. It'll look like that as a dress, you know? And no one's gonna be like, is that a piece of fabric? You know, they're just gonna think that it's a travel dress, you know? All right, so that's one idea. But as I've said, I don't really like a cowl neck. So when I make it, I actually will bring it up and make a little bit more of sort of a boat neckline like that. So let's pin this in place right here and this in place right here. Okay, and then untying this. Let's get the belt off for a second. Right, so we have those in place. And this is easy. If you're gonna do it for yourself, it's easier to do this on a chair before you put it on. But just kind of like hold it up to yourself to see where you need to put the 2 pins, and then hold that against a chair and finagle both of these areas around the chair first. Okay, so you're gonna draw it out like I did before. Find the middle, let's see. Find the middle back right here. And that's what's going to go up to the middle back right here. And then you're going to pin that. And you're doing this on a chair, you know, before you put it on. So you'll pin it like on your chair, on the chair back, then slip this part over your head and work it however you want it yourself onto your body. All right, so this is a little bit a different look because it's a higher neckline, but there is maybe a little bit of a problem because there's a big armhole here depending on how big your arms are. So you have a few options here. You could just leave it open like that, you know, or one thing that you could do is sort of work the armhole out like this, and this is enough for your arm to come out, and pin, make sure you have like, maybe you might need like 4 pins for this, okay? If you pinned it out to there, what you can do, what this does is it kind of fakes a sleeve. So almost is like a bat wing or a dolman sleeve. Let's do this on the other side and see if what it looks like. And then we're gonna belt it, and then it's going to look like a dress with sleeves. So we tie it with a belt, and then if your arm is sticking out, you see how that looks kind of like a sleeve. You've kind of faked a sleeve there. Same on the other side. So that's kind of an interesting look as well. Wear a necklace. Maybe people will be none the wiser. You never know. You could also kind of leave it like that, and you could blouse it out a little bit if you have a belt. And this could be not a dress, but it could be more of like a top over your jeans or whatever. Depends on what you want. You could tuck it in. So you could make it shorter like that. All right, so that's another option. And then let's do one of those signature looks from the famous company brand name item that will not be named because I don't want to be sued. And I've already named them, so hopefully I won't be sued. Okay, so here's what you do now is you go up under your armpit and work it over the girls in the front and over to one side. So it almost looks like a one shoulder. Okay, and you could leave it a one shoulder like that, and you could just maybe pin this, or you could maybe tie right here, put a little tie right there, and you could make a one shoulder dress like that. I don't really like that look, but this is what they recommend on the website for the Famous Maker one, is to do this. You work it under your armpit and bring this whole piece forward, and it's gonna fold over. So you wanna pull this back a little bit so it doesn't open out. But you're gonna pull this up over your shoulder So that's kind of like a wrap dress a little bit. So there's, this piece is up on the shoulder and this piece is coming up to meet it. Okay, and then you pin it there. And this creates sort of like a wrap look in the front, which you do kind of have to play with it to get it to look right. Okay, but you could belt this, and what this does is it kind of keeps the bottom half from looking too gathered. It creates more of like a straight dress look versus some of those other ones were really, really gathered. Especially here in the back, it's very straight down. It's not a bunch of fabric coming in. So once again, you could easily just throw a jacket over this and people are not going to think anything that you're wearing some kind of a weird piece of fabric, you know? Yeah, oh, look, that's really nice too, because when you fold it over, it blocks the light. So see, this is what I want you to imagine the other dresses look like, where there's no light shining through. Okay, so that's cute, cute enough. All right, so let's talk about some tops that you could make. So before we get into the real tops, let's make the infamous cardigan. So all you have to do to make a cardigan, and I actually think that this one looks better than the brand name one, and I'll show you why. So you're gonna bring the fabric behind your back, put it on over and bring it tight against your back, and then you just loop this part up over your head, like that. Really easy, okay? And depending on what you like, you could kind of wear it like a hoodie. You know, you could wear this part over your head like a hoodie. Or if you want it to be more of a, like, you could just leave it like this and make it kind of a vest sort of thing. If you wanted to put a brooch here or something, you can make it sort of a vest. But let's make the actual cardigan. So what you're going to do is this part is going to be tight against your back. And then all you have to do with this top part is bring the top part down, and it's going to cover this part. Now, this mannequin doesn't have arms, so this bottom part is falling down. Okay, you see that? But you have arms. So your arms are gonna hold this part forward, like this. Pretend like this thing has arms. All right, so this is going to lay over it if you were wearing it, and you're not going to see this part. Now, why this is better is because the brand name Cardi, they take this part and they pin it up here, and I think that looks weird. They bring it up like this, and then you have this big piece of, it almost looks like you're wearing a backpack or something. It looks really weird to me, and I don't like that. So I actually just bring this top piece down as far as it'll go, and that's what it looks like in the back. When you have it on in the front and your arms are in it, it looks like kind of a long sleeve cardigan. If I can fake that. I know I should probably do it on myself, but I'm not, because I don't feel like putting on makeup and all for the video. So that's what it's gonna look like with your arm in it. So it kind of looks like a dolman sleeve cardigan, and it's gonna look like that on the other side as well. And because your arms are in it, it's gonna keep the whole thing stable. All right, so that's one thing. Now, let's talk about some of the other tops you can make, like actual clothing tops. So what you're gonna do is do kind of the same configuration as the cardigan, pulling it forward like this. Instead of putting it up over your head, you're gonna make a X and put that over your head, okay? Now what you're gonna do is open this X out a little bit. And you're just gonna keep working it until It covers however much of your bra that you're wanting to cover. If you're wearing a bra. I hope you're wearing a bra, you nasty person. Okay, and then you're going to kind of draw some of this to the back. All right, now you can wear it like a halter top, like this. Let's see, let's make that a little nicer. A little more nicer, a little nicer. Okay, so you could make it kind of like a halter top like that. And depending on how comfortable you are, you can allow a little midriff to show like that. But if you're not scandalous, you know, you could take one of your pins, and this time pinning it up like this doesn't look, I don't think that looks so bad, because that looks kind of more like a top. And then just wear like a halter bra with it. And so that's what it'll look like on the back, and it'll look like this on the front, except for it won't be twisted like that. Anyway, oh, you know what, that doesn't look nice. What, this part up, there we go. That's what I meant to do. Okay, so it's a little flatter. Okay, so that's the back. All right, that's the front. And then you got kind of like a high-low thing going on as well. And, you know, if you feel like that looks weird, you can also throw a jacket over it, you know, whatever. Let's see, yeah. Oh, this doesn't look the way I did it before. I hope that you're, like, using your imagination. Okay, that looks a little better. All right, there you go. All right, enough about that. Now, here's a cardigan, not a cardigan, here's a top that you can make that you can't make with the brand name. Because, unless you use pins. You can always use pins with the brand name, but this one, you can only use pins. So what you're going to do is take the fabric all the way up, and you're gonna fold a length of it down like this. And however much you fold down is up to you. You could fold a lot down and make it shorter, or just fold maybe, let's just do this much. Okay, and you can make as much of a cowl as you want, or as straight across as you want, like this. I'm gonna do it a little more straight across, because that's just the kind of person I am. I don't really go for the cowls so much. All right, now you're gonna do the same thing on the back. And again, if you're just by yourself, you're gonna need to do this on a chair. So draw it back till you find the middle, and then that middle is going to go here, and then you're gonna wanna replicate that. And you can just eyeball it, you know, however much of a length there that you want. And the reason you can't do this with the brand name is because they don't have pins that far in. They only have the pins, the snaps. They only have the snaps on the hem. They don't have the snaps up a few inches. So you're only going to be able to do this with the brand name if you have pins. But you can do it with this one, because that's the only way that we do this one, is with pins. So I didn't put those in the right place. Let me make this a little more even so it doesn't look like crap. Okay. All right, so there you go. That's kind of a neat top. It's very comfortable. I tried this one on. And again, if you want to make kind of more of a sleeve, you pin it there and you pin it here as well. And then it will create a little bit of a sleeve, a mock sleeve, which is a kind of cute look. And you can either wear it open like this, or of course you can belt it. And, or, you know what else you can do is kind of take the two sides and bring it forward and just tie it to the side like that, if you like. You like that kind of a look? I don't really like that kind of a look, but you know, that's just me. Okay, but this is what it kind of looks. It kind of looks like a capey, drapey sort of shirt, and it gives the illusion of sleeves because of that piece that's folded down like that. All right, and again, you could make it more cowl-y if you gather the fabric out like that. You can do that as well, but I don't do that style so much. All right, so those are just some ideas, and of course you could also do, I mean, everybody knows how to do this, is you just kind of, if you want to do sort of a wrap, a Scottish sort of wrap, like you like the show Outlander, you know, and then you could get your Scottish brooch and brooch it right there, you know, and then your arms are going to have to be underneath it, but that would keep you warm, you know, if you need that sort of a thing. Now, let's be honest, I'm probably not going to use this as an item of clothing so much as I will probably use it as a bathing suit cover-up. All right, but before we get to that, let me just show you how you can wear it as a skirt. Okay, and you can either belt it and hold it in place, or you can pin it over here, but that makes that long of a skirt. So, especially if you're wearing a shirt over it, nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. They're all gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. So anyways, you could do that. But as a bathing suit cover-up, you have a few options. So one of them is to draw it out like I've done so many times before. Okay, let me do it straight on so you can see. Draw it out like this, out to the side a little bit, and you're going to just gather up these pieces and tie them here in front. Now, the reason I'm saying bathing suit cover-up is because you're not gonna wear a skirt that looks like that. But also, if you're going swimming, you're probably not gonna have a bunch of pins. So these options now that I'm calling bathing suit cover-up are how you can make different items by just tying it in place. So this is the one, this is like the skirt sarong look. And another thing you can do is sort of that same thing, but tie it up over your boobies like that. That's another thing you can do. And my girl right here is not big enough to hold this up, but maybe you are. Oh, it's gonna fall down. Okay, so yeah, okay, so that's another option for bathing suit cover-up. My favorite option, and especially if you are someone who really likes to cover up when they are en route, is to start it up under your armpit and draw it up over one shoulder like this, okay? And then you're gonna tie it on your shoulder like this. This option is going to give you the most coverage without using pins. And especially if you're not big enough to hold that tie up in the front, like me, I'm not that big to hold the tie up in the front, up under the armpits. So this is gonna be a better option for me if I want to be more covered as I'm moving around. And I don't wanna be in my bathing suit on display until I get to the pool or the beach itself. So this is the way to get the most coverage without pins, is just to tie it up. Start on the opposite armpit and draw it up over the opposite shoulder and leave enough of an armhole for your arm. But that is going to give you coverage. Okay, I've said that. All right, now, is that everything? Oh, one last little thing you can do is if you are in a hurry but you want to put this on, but you know you can't find where's the opening, and you just want to throw it on like a scarf, you can just pull it like this and just throw it over your neck like that and just tie it loosely, you know, especially if you're going through security and you're trying to get it back on but you can't find the opening. Just tie it around your neck like that and grab your other stuff and go. This is the quickest scarf that you can do out of this. All right, so I'm sure there's other options that I haven't thought of. Maybe you can think of some, but really what I'm wanting to show you is that you don't have to spend a ton of money. You can just find a big loop infinity scarf, and you might even be able to find an infinity scarf at a thrift store because they're not really apparently they're not really in style for 2025. But, and a lot of the infinity scarves are not stretchy. So that might matter to you, it might not. You might not need to stretch it. But you can do just about all of those looks that I showed you with a big enough loop, a big enough circle scarf. And so at least that gives you some options of convertible clothing and something that you can wear on the airplane and you don't have to pack it. But, you know, again, this is going to be more like a situation where I brought all casual clothes and for some reason I need a skirt or a dress. I can just pull this out. And I would really, versus red might be a little too obnoxious. That's why I got it in black. This is probably the one I'm going to travel the most with, the black one, because it's more versatile and more understated. I'm just showing you the red because it's, you know, you can't see any. If I show you things in the black, you can't see it because it's black. So that's why I was using the red. Anyways, I think I'm done talking and now I'm rambling. So that's everything I wanted to show you. So thanks for watching and I hope it gave you some ideas. Have a great day.